back to the Washington Outsider Report on the Coalition Radio. For those newly joining the program, my name is Irina Zuckerman, and I'm the host and the editor-in-chief of the Washington Outsider. With us today, we have Dr. Sheth Jerjis, hailing from Amsterdam, and we'll be discussing his paper, which is focusing on the Turkmen presence and the demographics in Erbil, and the situation with the influx of Kurdish presence into that area. But before we get into that, could you tell us a little bit about yourself, about your work, and how you decided to write about this topic?
Yes, I am the chairperson of the Iraqi Turkmen Human Rights Research Foundation. Our organization is established in 2001, and from that time in the Netherlands, and in Nijmegen, not Amsterdam. And we are working on the Turkmen issues from 2001. But before that, we were working on by other associations, Turkmen associations in the Netherlands. And we have many reports on the situation in north of Iraq, particularly on the Turkmen of Iraq and also other minorities, and also about the Turkmen history in Iraq, geography and demography. We have a website. Many of our publications will be found there. We are working by two languages, English and Arabic, and not Turkish, because our organization being in the Europe, we used to use English language mainly.
And could you tell us a little bit about who are the Turkmen, where do they live, and just a little bit of an introduction for our audience who may not be familiar?
Yes, Iraqi Turkmen is very well known, but maybe in the West is not how I can say. There is not much information about us. As you know from the article also, that our presence in Iraq goes back to more than 1,000 years ago. How I can say now, let us to give you our regions in Iraq. We are mainly present in the north and also in the middle of the Iraq, mainly in Mosul, Kirkuk, Erbil, and Salahuddin and Diyala. Also, there are a large number of the Turkmen families in Baghdad.
And are they originally from that area, or have they been migrating from elsewhere in the Middle East?
What you mean? Our coming was before about 1,000 years ago, more than 1,000 years ago, from the how I can say, from the the Turkestan and other regions in the Middle
from Central Asia.
Yes, in Turkmenistan and other regions there. But if you now look to our language, it's completely other than the Turkmenistan language.
What is it like now? How would you describe it?
The language?
Yes.
Yeah, our language now, like the mix of the Azerbaijani and also Turkish dialects of the southeast Turkey, like Adana, Gaziantep, and other regions. And we easily understand the Turkish language in Istanbul, in Ankara, in everywhere.
Interesting. So it's also a Turkic language, but it evolved from what it was in Turkmenistan because you migrated to other areas and basically developed
Yes.
it independently.
No, look, in the Turkmenistan and Turkmenistan language is also Turkish language, let us say, but there is some phonation is others. Phonation of the letters, which makes it difficult for us to understand each other. But in origin, the words are almost the same. Like we use J, they use in place of J, T, which makes the word is very difficult for us to understand.
What's the size of the Turkmen population in Iraq right now?
In what size? You mean?
Of the Turkmen community.
Yeah, Turkmen community, how I can say, as it is well known in Iraq, we are almost mainly in urban areas, in central cities, in large districts. And also we are well known that well-educated community. We have, how I can say, academicians, and we were constituting an important part of the Iraqi army before several decades ago. And we were almost constituting all the population of the Erbil and Kirkuk city before a century ago. And there are many districts are of Turkmen districts for thousands years, original historical Turkmen years, like Tuzhurmatı and Talafer, and many. And we think that our population is now more than 3 million pupils. As you know, there is no census in Iraq for the last 3 decades. And before that, during the after dismembering of the Ottoman Empire, all the population statistics of the Iraqi governments were politicized, and the minorities were always given a very small number. And one of the important points that after dismembering of the Ottoman Empire, the Mosul province of the Ottomans, which was constituting all the north of Iraq, for 5 provinces: Erbil, Kirkuk, Suleymaniye, Duhok, and Mosul. All this was Mosul Wilayat, Mosul province, and remained, how I can say, after formation of the Republic of the Turkey, Turkish Republic claimed the region, and it was the field of the discussion for 8 years in Lausanne, and also League of the Nations, and in 1926 with Ankara Treaty, it was given to Iraq, the Mosul province.
And did the majority of the population move out, or did they stay after the Treaty of Lausanne?
After treaty, yes, there was an item in the treaty that anyone from Iraq can Turks to want to go to the Turkey, he will get directly citizenship and he will be established there. But I think not so much gone to Turkey, because we were a very large number of people.
So what happened when Saddam Hussein came to power? How did that change the situation?
Yes, we have several articles about the violation of Turkmen human rights during the Ba'ath regime. But being we are not a fighting community like the Kurds, therefore we have not exposed to killings, but all other violation of human rights, like forcing us to change our nationality from Turkmen to Arab, and like marginalizing us in the government. And many of our politicians or higher intellectuals were accused of organizing something against the government and were hanged, were killed by government. There is lists of such a Turkmen pupils which were killed by the Ba'ath regime. Yes.
And what happened when after Saddam fell and the ISIS started becoming a major problem in Iraq? How did that affect the Turkmen communities?
Yes, as I said to you, after Saddam came to the power, the important problem is that the Kirkuk region is very rich in oil, and made it focus as a target of the Arabization policy, and distorting the demography of the Kirkuk region. There were brought not less than 300,000 Arabs from other regions to Kirkuk. And this is very well documented, I think. And we have exposed and other letters to say, like me, I am a physician. I graduated in 80s. I get the Kirkuk according to the distribution of the Ministry of the Health, and according my degrees in the university. But the security or the internal, the Ministry of Internal Affairs accepted it. Therefore, there was not allowing the Turkmen to be appointed in Kirkuk, and they sent me to Mosul.
But why such a difference between different cities? Why Mosul and not Kirkuk? Why? I mean, why is it good enough to in one place but not another?
Because they wanted to distort the how I can say the population of the Turkmen in Kirkuk city. They want to Arabize the region. A part of the Arabization policy of the Kirkuk region. The Turkmens were not appointed in the Kirkuk city. As you know, before at the time of the Saddam regime, also now, almost all the people are staffs of the government. There was no free works as companies, as fabrics. Therefore, most of the pupils were appointed in the government.
And what happened with the rise of terrorism, with the rise of the Islamic State? How did that impact the situation? Did that make a difference?
Yes, the most important point that all our region, all north of Iraq, was occupied by Kurdish parties. And we have suffered many aspects, in many sorts. Like, let us to say that those Hurmatu district are Shia Turkmen. Let me also to say that Iraqi Turkmen are half Shia, half Sunni, as a percentage. And Tus Hurmatu region was under the administration of the Kurdish parties and Kurdish Peshmerga when the ISIS was appeared and exposed to huge, how I can say, sufferings, attack from both sides. The Kurdish wants to appropriate the region. The Salafis, the ISIS attacking the pupils there on the roads, in the city, because west of the Duskurmat region, also Kirkuk region, are Sunni regions. And the issues was very strong at the west of the Duskurmat region. Therefore, attack coming from the Salafis from there, and Kurd Peshmergas are controlling the city and trying to Kurdify the region from their side. Therefore, they lived 10 years as a hill. And Kirkuk also remained under the control of the Kurdish Peshmerga. How I can say, economic become in the hand of the Kurds, and security was in the hands of the. There was many attacks, like in an evening, coming 9 armed people and going inside a home and collecting the pupils in one room, and they collecting important things at home and bringing it and going away. We have some reports on such events, some of these events. Therefore, it was very difficult. And its problem is that because no Western or no Arabic media could give a good attention to these things, there is nothing written about this.
Has there been any effort to mediate these relationships with the Kurdish population and to come to some sort of a managed power sharing agreement?
Power sharing, yes, but after occupation, the power was all in the hand of the Kurdish parties and Peshmerga. Yes, they're under the occupation authority, they have instituted as cities or districts councils, and there were also the Kurdish members much more than others. At the beginning was direct appointing, almost direct appointing by occupation.
Mm-hmm.
Later on by election, but election in such a situation, if everything under control of the Kurdish parties and Peshmerga, and they claim the region, they say that this is our historical regions, then you cannot find a good elections or impartial elections.
And what's the impact of the Kurdish ruling and powering on the Turkmen population? How does that affect them?
Yes, as I said to you, from security part and from administration Kurdified, and also economic things, everything was in the hands of the Kurds. And how I can say, as I said to you, attacks on House of the Turkmen, and also in the governmental offices, there suffered Turkmen pupils in many cases. Yes, the control was in the hands of the Kurdish parties, and we were living there, trying to live.
What is causing that sort of tension? Why exactly there is this discriminatory treatment? Why hasn't there been some efforts to kind of resolve this and integrate the populations more to get along better?
Yes, it's a problem. We should know that our region or Iraq is an undemocratic culture, and there is a strong nationalist feelings. Arabs and Saddam Hussein came to power and tried to marginalize other groups, even to Arabize Kurds and Turkmens and others. And Kurch was also very strong nationalist and want to control everything and claim everything, as they're claiming of most of the north of Iraq that they are historical Kurdish regions. And this made marginalization of the other pupils in the administration, also some attacks, such a violation, other types of economy will become in their hands, and so.
What efforts have been done to try to push for a sort of, to respond to this and to kind of assert Turkmen's rights in the area? Has there been any sort of dialogue, any political discussion? Has there been any intervention by any countries or mediation efforts?
First, let me to say, the Kurdish control over Turkmen regions of most of the north of Iraq ended in 2017, when the Iraqi army get back the regions from the Kurdish Peshmerga, pushed away the Kurdish Peshmergas. Then the situation is become better, but now is in the hand of the Arabic governor. There is also some unjust distribution of economy and care of the state. There is such a thing, but not like before, when the region was under control of the armed Peshmerga and Kurdish parties. Now there is in beginning there was in the council of the Kirkuk, such as Kirkuk, there was several Turkish members and other Arabic and other Kurdish, but the Kurdish members appointed more than half. Therefore, they were deciding everything. As I said to you before, at the 2017, the governor became an Arabic politician.
So what are the efforts now? How are the Turkmen trying to bring attention to their rights and how are they trying to gain international support?
Yes, I would also to say that we have political parties.
Mm-hmm.
I think you have also heard about the Iraqi Turkmen Front.
Yes.
Yes. Unfortunately, our political system is under Turkish control. Mm-hmm. And Turkey use the Turkmen political system in direction of its national interest, and now in direction of the Erdogan's policy, religious policy. Therefore, we have many parties, many organizations, civil society organizations, but as I said to you, almost are present, completely controlled by the Turkey. And therefore, how I can say, there is no strong political representation. Mm-hmm. Also in the parliament and in the Iraqi political arena.
What are the goals that Turkey is trying to achieve through these communities? What are they hoping to gain from it?
I don't understand. What do you mean?
Erdogan, what does he want to gain through this involvement with the Turkmen in Iraq? What are his political goals that he's trying to achieve in this way?
You mean political?
What does Erdogan want from Turkmen? What does he expect? What is he trying to achieve by getting involved with them?
How I can say this, as I said to you, our political organizations, especially Iraqi Turkmen Front, which is the biggest, and also it takes a large financial support from Turkey. In fact, we can say it is an office of the Turkish government. Therefore, they cannot do anything if not allowed by Turkey. How I can say? The members of the candidates for elections are selected by Turkish authorities, and no anyone can move or do any project or even talk any important subjects in the parliament or give declarations without the Turkish control.
How have Turkish attacks on northern Iraq affected Turkmen population there? Because I know they've had issues with the Kurds, with PKK stationed there, and also there were civilian camps of refugees and Yazidis that were attacked by Turkish air attacks against PKK. How has that affected the Turkmen in there?
Yeah, this is away from us because it is in the very north, in the at the extreme north, and there is no Turkmen regions. But the PKK and also Kurdish people knows that we are, how I can say, we cannot do anything. We are weak, and we have no power, even political power, to do anything. Therefore, there is no direct attack on us in such a meaning as a response to Turkish activities in north of Iraq.
And where else can you find significant Turkmen communities? Are there groups of them in Syria right now or elsewhere?
Yes, certainly. The Syrian Turkmen was not less than us, possibly more around 2 or 3 millions. But with the time, they immigrated to Turkey, and in the last events after 12 and 11, almost most of them gone to Turkey, and the Turkish government also now Erdogan used them in militias, as you know, in everywhere. There are also the Syrian Turkmen are also a big community, and the point is that the Arabic nationalism began in Syria in very early decades, in 1930s, and the attack on them was very aggressive from that early decades. Their lands were confiscated in 30s and 40s of the 20th century. They are also a big community.
Is there any connection, political or social, between these two communities, or are they completely separate?
There is, I think, in Turkey, how I can say, according to Turkish policy, they come together by each other. I have contact with many Syrian politicians in Turkey, but there is no Saman working, or team working, or participation in activities.
Have there been any efforts to build these bridges, or is it impossible because of Erdogan's control over the situation?
I don't understand.
Have there been any efforts to build bridges, or is it impossible because of Erdogan's control?
There is no, how I can say, independent Turkmen organization to make connection. If Turkey wants, they will meet. If not, they will not meet. And any Turkmen organization not under control of the Turkey, it will suffer. It cannot be, how I can say, It remained small.
What happened to the Turkmen that Erdogan used as the militias? Where are they now? Because that was the last I've heard of it, and since then there hasn't been any much discussion of what happened after these events.
Yeah, but I said the Turkmen political system from the beginning is under the complete control of
No. I mean
Turkey.
specifically the ones who participated in militias. What happened to them?
Participated in what?
Militias, Erdogan's militias. What happened to them afterwards?
Look, there is. We have no any. Our people have not done anything against Turkey. We have some important reports against the Turkey, but how I can say, we met many difficulties, and how I can say, and no possibility they attack me. My situation will not allow them.
No. My question was, what happened to those of the Turkmen who took part in Erdogan's militias? Where are they now?
Oh, yeah, this is for Syrian ones.
Yes.
I think they are still, he is using them still. He used them in Libya, as we heard also from the media, and also in Azerbaijan. And I think he still have groups of military teams, groups still using them, and also in Syria, the region Turkey controls. There is Syrian armies, and the Turkmen also found there in these armies.
In the meantime, you were writing these articles about the human rights, humanitarian situation. What do you think needs to happen for the international community to raise awareness and to be more actively involved? What's your plan? What's your goal? What do you want to see happen next?
In the case of the Iraqi Turkmen, you mean?
Yes.
Yes, we are working in this field for decades. And we have said from the beginning to our politicians also, I have a very wide connection with all the Turkmen politicians and the intellectuals and civil society organizations. And they are many, as I said to you, are not less than 3 million. Therefore, we have many organizations. We participated in the United Nations sessions. We have done many things. We have organized meetings, conferences in European Parliament, brought Kirkuk City Council members, Iraqi Turkmen parliamentarians. Then we concluded that if we have no strong political system in Iraq, nothing will help all these Turkmen peoples, because in Iraq, as I said to you, 3 million Turkmens are suffering from poverty, from the agricultural problems, from the many things, every field, because there's no administrator from the Iraqi Turkmen. Or there are many, very few. And our policy as an organization, as I raised the slogan that if Turkey will not allow us, we cannot do nothing. Therefore, I have written a book and an important articles about the Turkish control of the Turkmen. I don't know if you have seen it.
Not yet, no. I've seen the article, but I have not seen the book.
There is on my also LinkedIn article emergency of the Iraqi Turkmen political system under the dominance of the Turkey and its collapse, emergency and collapse of the Iraqi Turkmen political system under Turkish control. It is a very large article. And I have a book also. We have as Soytum organization. Therefore, still, I see that the Turkish policy should be help us change its dominance on our political system.
What about the impact of the Iranian?
And we should also.
Go ahead.
Hello?
Yes, I'm here.
I do not understand.
Yeah, go ahead.
I did not hear the question.
No, it's okay. I want you to finish what you were going to say.
Hello?
You can finish what you were going to say, then I will ask. You started saying something.
Yes, what I wanted, I also remember I was talking to about the Turkish control of our policy. Yes, one should also think on the Iraqi community or the community of the Middle East or Islamic populations, how they think, and the government, everything. They cannot, it is the habit, it is the nature of the peoples not to talk against the government. And therefore, the Turkmen peoples in Iraq are also suffering from this point, or this point makes them suffer. Not easily right against problems, not and the other point, the cooperation between the intellectuals is not easy. Between politicians also, as a culture, which is not democratic for years. Therefore, the Turkmen community, you cannot think that why they are not collecting their power. The nature of the pupils also prevent that.
There is another factor, which is Iran's involvement in Erbil with the oil smuggling and all these issues. How does that play out, and what impact is it having?
You mean Iran?
Iran.
Yes. Iran's problem is that of the Iraqi major problem is that Iran is controlling all the Shia groups, all armed and also not armed, political. As you know, almost all the Shia parties were instituted in Iran, other than Dawah. Dawah was established in Iraq in 1950s. Iran controlling everything. Its point is that the pupil, like Shia pupils, are religious and are spiritually connected to the Iranian. As Turkmen also, as Turkmen people are spiritually connected to Turkey. And how I can say, even they know that the problem is Turkey for them, they say, okay, no choice. We cannot find other solution. And Turkey has right. She is also in such a mentality towards Iran. Yes.
There are also Turkmen communities in Iran as well, right?
Yes, there is two types of the Turkmen in Iran. Azeris, South Azerbaijan is in Iran. Is 3 times larger than the Azerbaijan country, Azerbaijan state. And there is about some sources say that 30 million Azerbaijanian in Iran. And they are, how I can say, Turkmen or Turkish people.
Mhm.
And there is also Turkmen at the south, northeast of Iran. They are about 1 million, but they have no sound, no active role in Iran. But as I want also to say that Azeri peoples are very, how I can say, in the Irani regime. Khamenei is Turkmen, is Azeri.
Mhm.
Yes.
It's true.
And they are also strict Shias, Azeri peoples also. And we have, as I said to you, we are half Shia and half Sunni. Yes, Shias are more strict religious than the Sunnis. Therefore, their religious connection with us is strong.
So how does that work when the population is mixed and has two religions?
Yes, but how I can say, even between the Arabs and the Turkmen, we are living by each other. There are many Turkmen married from the Shia, Sunni Turkmen from the Shia Turkmen, and also it was not so strict religiosity ruling the social connections. But after the fall of the mainly after 1990, and then after occupation of Iraq, of the fall of the Ba'ath regime, the religious ideologies and mentality of the population also become very strict.
Why do you think there's this revival over this strong religious stringency?
Yeah, it is historically, if you go back to a century ago, all the Muslim community were strictly living all the Islamic fashion as Islamic fashions, and with the developments and with the occupation, or how I can say, with the colonies, many things were introduced. And now with the huge development in the communication systems, internet, telephones, and other things, and also the international laws changed from 100 years ago, United Nations and other things, and therefore, and living in the Islamic fashions is how I can say, cannot be, is not logic. Pupils also in schools learns information, science, logics, and they see it is difficult to live in a complete Islamic community.
I've heard recently that there was a formation of several new political parties in Baku. Previously, these parties were only present in Turkey and in Iran, the Azerbaijani parties from Iran, but also Qashqai and various other minorities in Baku.
Relating to Azerbaijan, I have no much information, but I know that there is elections and there is opposition parties. But I know that there is a group of the Iranian Azerbaijans, let us to say, nationalist, or they fight for national rights. And against the mullahs, they have television, and they are not so strong to appear in the international media.
What direction do you see happening next Now I see you're trying to bring this issue to the international attention, to continue pushing it. And the situation is not really getting any better in Iraq. US is basically leaving. Iran is becoming stronger.
Yes.
Russia is also and China growing their presence. Turkey is also not, continuing to do. It's not going to change its policies either. What do you think needs to happen? Do you think this issue, these problems from Iran, from Turkey, from other places, can keep some of the groups, push them together to work together against, for some sort of a joint cause, or do you think it just keeps getting more and more fragmented?
Yeah, I think there is no simple solution for the Middle East pupils. As I always in our discussions, I say that there will be much sufferings in our communities. There should be change in the mentality of the pupils and also the political mentality of the states. Iran, if there will be no change in Iranian governing system, the Iraq cannot be saved. And I think the Iranian people soon or later will uprise against the regime, and hopefully they will remove it, maybe not in short time. And otherwise, Erdogan possibly will lose, but will he return or not? That's also not possible, because you may also know that populists, after they leave, no one can administer the country. It's not like Netanyahu, he returned again in 1 year. And Erdogan possibly also, because it is, Turkey is now not how I can say, all administration is unorganized, is worked, how I can say, the mentality of the tribes, such is. Therefore, the ministries, the finance, all are disturbed. Then what the opposition will come is going to do, I don't know. I'm afraid they will not succeed.
I don't think they're going to. I don't think the opposition will win the elections. I really don't.
Possibly, and now is the chance is on the side of the opposition, but it is not big chance. There is important chance, but I see also if Erdogan will win, he will also be deteriorated, much more deteriorated. He cannot continue for 5 years, as it happened also with populist, that of the Bolivia. What was his name? I don't know. He also ruled for 20 years. Then the people uprised against him, and he left the country. Therefore, I see also that when Erdogan won, he cannot administer the Turkey to 5 years. There will be big problems, and the pupils will rise. And as I said, Saudi Arabia is also seems that it is going to remain for a long time. There will be no change. It is undemocratic, and
the Islamists are coming back to power. It's very clear.
Sorry?
The Islamists are coming back to power in Saudi Arabia.
Islam, how I can say, Islam, I see that there will not come strict Islam to rule in Islamic countries, because the new generations also are not believing, are started to be astonished with such an unlogic, unscientific teachings of Islam.
Well, the problem is they don't necessarily have the power, and the people who do, they don't want to give it up. However, let's hope for the best.
Yes, I now in Iran, also in Turkey, the pupils know the problems of the strict religious Islamism. Therefore, I do not think, well, Islam will win in these countries. Also, as in Tunisia, what the Ikhwan brotherhood community have done and failed also. And it is logic that Islamic mentality cannot rule a country in this time. It is a very, how I can say, Islam is a sort of living style. Even government, there is everything in Islam which gives how you administer the country. And it is very unlogic. The pupils cannot accept that. Today, the Islamic regime cannot rule a community.
Well, let's see what happens, because right now, unfortunately, various different ideologies, even the ones that don't have much with each other, they seem to be lining up, and it seems to be, and all of that seems to be disproportionately bad for minorities in the region. But let's hope that that can change, and change by the people themselves, not by the outsiders, because right now the direction is very, very concerning. But thank you so much for sharing these valuable insights, and for a topic that's not well understood in the United States at all. The history of minorities in the region has been largely written out of the curriculum, out of education, and there's very little knowledge about these diverse ethnic groups in the Middle East and their relationships and dynamics to each other. So thank you so much for sharing this information, and I hope we'll continue this discussion and have in the future talk about other topics as well. For those watching with us, we were discussing the current situation of the Turkmen in Iraq and the relationship with the Kurds and with Turkey and various other groups. Please join us next week, Tuesday night, as usual at 9 p.m. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a good night. And with you, as always, Irina Zuckerman, the Washington Outsiders editor-in-chief. Thank you.